We have all the stickers on the tractor. We went ahead and put the McCormick Cub Farmall here for this year model. We have all the ones down on the oil filters down here now. It tells, the amazing thing is it says change the oil every 240 working hours, but then right below it says change the element after every 480 hours. So evidently back then they didn't change the filter every time they changed the oil on it. So we got that one, and then we got around front. We went ahead and put the new International Harvester sticker on the front of it here, which is custom for this tractor. And then up under the air cleaner up in here, we went ahead and put that one up under there. It may be a little difficult to see it up in there, but we went ahead and got that one mounted up in there. It tells where it goes, and then on the back, we went ahead and mounted the one under the seat here that talks about hooking up the hitches and the drawbars and stuff. And then we went ahead and put the sticker back here by the PTO on the back of it. It tells you, to be careful there and stop the power and take off, PTO. We went ahead and installed the one here at the back of the fuel tank, telling us to be careful there and tell them about how to drive it and stuff and what to do. And then we installed the one on the light switch here. This is a 4-stage light, so we went ahead and put the correct one there for that. Guys, we have all the stickers on the tractor now, I believe, that comes with this year model tractor. The next thing that you'll be seeing us doing on the tractor here is replacing the old battery box. Now, the thing about the old 6-volt negative ground systems is, whenever I take this battery box out of here to replace it, I'm going to have to undo the battery cables, which means on this particular tractor, I've got to take the whole hood system back off of it again in order to be able to get to the generator and the regulator to repolarize the battery once I hook that thing back up, because anytime you undo a battery cable on one of these old ones, you got to repolarize that 6-volt generator up there. And on this one, I've looked at it and I'm not comfortable with trying to stick wires up under a hood under there where I can't see and can't get my hands in there. So it means I'm going to have to pull the hood back off of it, which means I got to disassemble the whole top of this thing again just to do that. Okay guys, we're back on the Cub Farmall restoration. We got our last box from Steiner's in here. Got our some of our goodies in here that we're going to be replacing on the tractor. Now we have reasons for replacing things. This here, we just got this one in. This is the throttle lever on our tractor. Ours, when you race it up and you're driving down the road, it's wore so bad because it's old that the lever just pops back down and it goes back to an idle while you're driving. So we went ahead and ordered a new throttle lever to go on it. We picked up some more of the tapered drawbar bolts that goes in it that holds equipment and all on it. We got the new positive ground battery cable. Now this is a specific cable. This cable is made to go over here on this battery box. This is a new battery box I've installed. This cable's made to go right here and go, it's got a hole in it right there. It goes right there and comes around and mounts right on top of this here, so you can put the whole battery box together like it is. The original owner just had a battery cable running out here on the old box, and I'm going to be taking this one off and installing the actual one that goes on this tractor here. Now this here is the other parts of the battery box. I'll show you kind of how they lay here. This battery box goes together in several pieces. This piece right here will come in and actually fit on here like this, and then you have a top that fits down on there. They got 2 high ones and 2 low ones. Now where the terminals are at on the battery, they sit right on top of these rubber bumpers here, so you don't have to worry about it shorting out against anything. And then you have 2 new bolts here that actually, you got a short one and a long one that actually hook into the box. The long one hooks in the front here and the short one hooks in the back, and they got wing nuts on top of them. You tighten down and it kind of holds the battery secure so that nothing can get against it and nothing can short it out. We have all of that to go in. And then we ordered 2 new 6-volt bulbs. Now the original lights that goes on these tractors have bulbs in them, In one of my videos, I'd made a comment that I was not going to put a light on the rear of the tractor that was originally on it, but I've since changed my mind. If I'm going to restore it, I'm going to go ahead and put it back like it should be. Now, there's two different lights you can get to go on the back of this tractor. They're both 6-volt lights. I opted to go with the one that does not have the little knob on it that you turn to make it either clear or red. There's a huge price difference in those lights, and I'm not going to be driving it at night on a road to need a red lens on the back of it, so I went ahead and ordered just the white one. This one can be used for the front, for a headlight, or it can be used on the back. And I have already installed the bracket on the back here that goes onto the battery box here. And this light, because this is grounded to the battery box, only has one wire that screws onto the back of it here, one positive wire. And that's what I've done. I've ran a wire back here. Now I'll put a terminal on the end of it. I've got this clamp. This clamp will go on here. And then this light will go down through this here, and the nut will tighten down on it. And we'll actually have our light here on the back of it. And the 6-volt lights are to go inside this here, because these do not come with the bulb in them. This is one of the old style lights that you have to put the single filament bulb in and actually turn it to lock it down. It's not like the new sealed beam lights. So we'll be getting this on there. And last but not least, we did a video on the steering gear sector here, and how there's a vent tube right in, a vent hole in the plug there that's always plugged up on all these old ones. And it doesn't allow any of the heat, because the radiator goes down through all this stuff and pressure builds up in this. It gets hot. If you can't get the pressure out of this, what happens is a lot of times it either blows the seal, or this just gets so hot that the seal will ruin, or because it gets hot and then it gets cold at night, this thing will sweat. I took the plug out and looked down in there, and all the water, the grease that's in it, the oil, is real milky looking. So what happens is, as it rains, water hits this rod and it runs down, and when it gets to that seal, if the seal's bad, it will go into that, and plus it would sweat, and rather than me just go ahead and change the oil out and then have it just get milky looking again, I went ahead and ordered a brand new seal. We'll be taking the steering sector shaft off. We'll be taking all this off here, replacing the new seal, putting it in there, changing the grease all out, putting new grease in it, and it's going to take 80 weight grease. We're going to be putting that back in there. And when we get that done, guys, we're going to pretty much be there. There's a couple of things I've done that I didn't talk about in the previous video. I'm going to talk about right now. On the hood here, since I've got this tractor back together and got it running, I have 2 wires hanging down here. Now these are protected. I have protective covers on them. There's a reason for this. Anytime you undo this battery cable back here, like me going to be changing out the battery cable and putting another one on it, anytime you do that, you have to repolarize the generator. Well, the generator's up under the hood up in here, and I can't get to it without taking the hood all back off of this tractor, and I'm not going to do that every time I have to do something to the battery or something like that. So I ran a wire from the generator side of the generator to the battery side of the voltage regulator. And when I get through installing a new battery cable, I'll have to come up here and take these 2 and stick a wire in here, and I'll take another one, and as soon as I just touch it and it arcs a little bit, that will repolarize the generator for the 6-volt system, and it saves me from having to pull the whole hood off of here every time I have to do something back here and take a battery cable off. If I need to work on something electrical and I need to take that battery cable off, I can repolarize the generator right here. That's just something I've added to it. It's not an original piece that's on it. But guys, other than that, I really think we're going to almost be there as far as completely having it redone. I went ahead and we got all this, the plow system's all in here now. It's been repainted. It's all in good working order. I have all new bolts to go in. Some of the rest of this, these are the bolts I was showing you I ordered. I've got a new one here. I've learned when I took one of the old bolts out, the threads on a lot of them are wore down really bad and they're kind of loose in there, so I've ordered new bolts to go back and replace all the old ones with. Even up under here where the plows all hook in here at right there, these are all old and kind of loose in the thread, so I've got new ones to go back in there so we can tighten all this stuff down like it needs to be. Guys, we are going to have our Cub Farmall almost completely restored and ready to put in the fields and put it to work.
Out of my canning
Out of the canning kitchen. It'll go back under the barn out there where I don't have to work on it no more. It'll be out of the weather, but it will be protected from the weather, and it will be like it's in mint condition. Now we do have one other thing. I will say this in the future I'm going to be looking for, and that's over here on the side. The previous owner welded the little pitman arm here to the spindle. There's a bolt that screws in here that's tapered on the end, and I guess he lost a bolt out of it or something other, so they just welded it solid. And now this thing is wore, the bushings is wore in it real bad, and I can't get it off. So what I'm going to end up having to do is see if I can locate another one of these little arms here and a new spindle to go in this thing, and just take a Sawzall and cut it off in order to get it out and replace the bushings and all that kind of stuff in it, because we just put new bearings and all in the hub and all, and that's kind of frustrating to me now that I found that, because it's going to be hard to take all the, I can take the bearings back out of all this and off of this spindle and put on another one, but it just means I got to redo it all again after I look. I really didn't think about this whenever I was doing it, and I happened to notice when I jacked the tractor up that the spindle dropped down like almost a half an inch or better. And I was like, whoa, that needs adjusting. And I looked up here and seen it didn't have a bolt in it, and they had welded it. So we're going to have to fix that in the near future. It's not a big issue right at the moment, but it is a project in the future that we're going to be working on. So guys, the Cub Farmall, she's almost completely redone, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get all the new implement pieces on it here and all the new stuff done. We'll come back and take another look at it and make sure that all the, like this thing here, this is what we bought. See, when I pop it up like this, see it won't stay up there? If you're riding with it, it'll pop all the way back down to way down here. And that's totally frustrating when you're trying to plow with it or something, or drive it down the road, it just won't work. So we're going to be taking all this off, putting a new one on there. Okay guys, we're going to install the light first. I've already put my new end on the wire here, so I'm just going to take this and kind of like temporarily hang it there. Go ahead and undo this. Now this only has to have, like I said, only has to have one wire because it grounds to the frame. I don't particularly care with this screw being so tiny, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that in there, and I'm going to put a washer. I like to make sure I get good contact. I'm going to tighten this down. Don't want to over tighten it. Now we've got that. That'll come up. That should be just right. Like that. Now I guess the next thing would be to determine how or where you want this light actually facing. And I guess I don't want it facing straight out behind me. I kind of want it facing down just a little bit for the equipment. Because if to me it would be just strictly to hook up something after dark or in low light hours, and to be able to be bright enough that it's going to shine out back if I'm backing up at night and I need to be able to see to back up. I don't want to run over something. You can tighten them down pretty tight. Now, before I go too much further, I want to see if it actually works. Alright guys, I've just painted everything and I run into a problem. It won't make contact if I got paint on it. And that's irritating. I'm not going to do all of it. I'm just going to make a couple of places right here. Alright, I'm going to tell Miss Wanda to let me tighten it down.
All the way up?
Yeah.
It ain't working. May need more than that.
Okay. We're trying to figure out what part of it here has got to make contact. See, what I got to do now is it's this. Because all of this is not making good contact in there. So now I got to get rid of the paint and any of that. I guess this is why when they build these tractors, they put all this stuff together and then they paint it after they put it together. Because it's all making contact. A lot of y'all asked me about my knife. This is a Case XX 75. We're going to take this right here. Technically, I shouldn't have to do that one. Not worrying about that one. Because this other's all grounded in the housing. Okay, flip my light switch on all the way. Okay.
It ain't on. Something's still on.
Yeah, I know. It's we'll get there. I got to take all the paint off of this. Can't just paint everything.
Still ain't doing.
Well, it's because it ain't tight. Hopefully.
It wanted to.
Okay.
Now.
We have light. I need to angle it down some though. It got a little too high on me.
It's weird that that little bit would make a difference.
Yep. That's it. Okay, we now have our light on the back. Guys, one of the problems with this tractor, with all this new, is everything's been painted. It's hard to get a good ground with anything. That's going to be one of our big issues, is making a ground contact with painted surfaces. Okay, we've got that battery cable off. This one. This has been tightened down from the factory, so let me get back loose. Yeah, it's too tight. We'll have to expand it just a little bit. Alright, let's see if we can get this stuck down on here. And with that top, it's really important that this, you don't want to hammer on nothing hard on this, but It's really important, the way that rubber top is made, that this is sitting flush. Okay, I'm not going to tighten it down just yet. So I make sure my battery cable is going to reach, and I believe it is. It's going to reach over there. Let's see if we can. Run this in from the inside in here. Stick it out there. There's a flat washer. Regular washer. Now this is where I'm a little concerned about making connections because it's against a painted surface. I didn't want to have to scratch the paint off of it. This bolt is a little bit long. I may have to cut it off. Well, the test is moment of truth here. Let's see if it...
You didn't tighten that over there?
It don't have to be tight just yet. I want to see something. Okay, we're making connection. So we're going to go ahead and tighten this side down. Goes back up here like that. And this, I don't think it really matters which one of these goes where. Oh yes, it does too, because it has
holes for the
holes cut out there. That's what these two holes in this floorboard here is for, I'm guessing. This comes up through from the bottom. Let me see if I can find... Figure out how this thing goes here. Oh, there we go. Come on now, get on there. Oh, I can see right now I don't like this, but I'm going to put that on there for just a second. I'm going to go get me a washer. Looks like that was a little bit of a poor design without a washer.
Maybe should have ordered the washer separate.
Well, the way everything else is going, I probably should have. Okay.
Good thing Deep South has their own washers.
Yes, I keep plenty of stuff stacked up, stored up. That washer, it allows me to be able to turn this wing nut without it digging into the battery box cover. And might I add, I've installed a new rubber grommet here. If you're going to put that on there in a new battery box, put it over your cable from the other end before you install the battery cable. I learned that the hard way. Yeah, that's pretty tight. That's kind of got her cinched down there pretty good. That's our new battery box now. I think that's kind of awesome. Our pin out of the throttle linkage here. We're going to undo that. Put that lever forward. See if we can figure out what size we got to have here. We got that. Just as I suspected, the whole thing is turning. Okay. Well,
Plan B.
Plan B is we're going to take out this key over here. We're going to take this pin out. If I can get to it to... The spring on this one is really strong. There we go. I'm going to take that out. Now we're going to get rid of this. One thing is you got to disassemble everything to get to it. Now, I'm going to get my pair of channel locks. This one is worn out. I'm not really worried about scratching it up that bad. I doubt this has ever been off of here from the looks of it. Okay. Got this one off of here. Figure out how this new one goes up in here. Tell you what, they got it figured down to the T. Just enough to get a thread started on it there. Matter of fact, it ain't much of a thread at all. Make sure you don't cross thread it starting out that tight. You mean to tell me that they
did a metric?
That's what that is. Well guys, it ended up being a metric. So I'm going to have to use a little small crescent. Because I'm American, I don't have all the metric tools right here. I have them in the shop, but I don't have them right here. Okay. That's a tight fit. That's what we like. Alright. I'm going to put this little keeper I got back in there, but I'm going to order some hair clip pins to go in there because these are so aggravating. I can't even get to it. That's the problem. That's why I want a hair clip pin and not a cotter. You don't want to go in the hole. It's just very difficult to get right in there where it's at. You can bet when we get the hair clip pins here, I will be changing out all these little cotter pins. Alright, now that one stays locked in position. That was a problem with the other one, as it would... That's idle right there. And then that's wide open, so... Alright, what we're going to do is, we're actually going to save this one here. We're going to try to put it all back together. Because in a bad situation, I can take and... you can see these up here. See, these are really wide right here. How thick and wide they are. The new one is very thin, like back down here. These are really wide, but you can see right here, they're wore off. Now here's where they're supposed to be, way out here. They don't have any teeth left on them, and that's just from years and years. Oh, I see what it is. Oh, the ingenuity of people. You see that right there? Somebody welded it. Somebody put a weld on there because this wore out. And they took a file and they filed notches in it. That's why they're not sticking out there as far. And that's why it's so thick. I was looking at how thick it was and how thin it was right down here. And I was like, well, that's kind of strange. But I see now somebody took a welder and welded that all the way across there and tried to make new grooves in it. The ingenuity of the older people. Alright guys, we've got their battery cable and the battery box in, got it replaced now. We're going to repolarize the generator. We're going to pull out the ignition. We're going to come up here, like I was telling you, we're just going to take this wire, we're going to touch it up in there on that one. We're going to come around and you should see just a little small arc. You see that little blue arc? That's all it took right there. Our generator is repolarized. That's a whole lot easier than pulling the hood off and having to redo all of it. Being neutral. Pull this out. Or left.